Welcome to I'd Print That. I'm Andrew.
I'm Joe.
What'd you do this week, Joe?
Whole lot of nothing.
Me too.
When I say a whole lot of nothing, I mean I really didn't get a chance to do much with my printer. Editing this week's episode or this last week's episode, took quite a bit of time. But I got it done, got it out there, managed to do it mostly in part because I wasn't feeling too good at the beginning of the week, so took Monday off from work and was able to sit down and really focus on getting the episode edited and managed to get it finished Wednesday evening, I believe. Beyond that, I haven't had a chance to install the Z-rods, threaded Z-rods for my Prusa. I'm looking forward to doing that this week. I did go and get a laser thermometer, which if you have a 3D printer, you probably should go get yourself a laser thermometer. Have those, a good set of calipers, tape, and other types of things to help your print stick to your bed. A laser thermometer will at least allow you to make sure your bed's heating evenly. You can check the corners and the center just to get an idea of if it's got a nice even heat on it and if it's even close to what it's supposed to be temperature-wise.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to checking mine. I've set mine right now, my last few prints that I did do last week. They were at about 90 to 95 degrees, but it felt a lot hotter than that. So I need to make sure my thermistor is right. My thermistor, I emailed the company, and they responded back to me saying it is the same type of thermistor I had before.
Okay.
My firmware is set up properly, so I need to find out what the deal is.
It's a thing.
Yeah, and I also sent them the installation instructions that I followed to install it, and they said that those installation instructions are accurate. It should work fine. So
At least you know it's not you.
Nope, not me this go.
And I didn't do any printing things at all. Just like everywhere else in the U.S. right now, it's springtime, and anybody else that has a waifu has a honey-do list. And for me, it was, holy crap, it's finally spring and I can be outside. So I spent every day after work cleaning up branches that snow broke and wind broke and burning branches, doing that kind of stuff. So not a lot of printing stuff happened for me. I did get, finally, Joe didn't get his.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be dealing with this company anymore. It was a really good idea that Filament One had to do the 1 cent samples.
Right.
And I think it blew up a lot bigger than they thought it would.
Oh, yeah, it hit the news. We reported on it. Several sites reported on it. And today, I went out to their website to see what was going on because 2 days ago, I went out and their site was in what's called maintenance mode. They were doing some change to the site, so the admin had pulled the site down and just put hey, we're working on things.
They were pulling
banner
off
on the
their
front.
sample links.
They redesigned their website, but also they pulled down all the samples. If you go out and look at their site and under the PLA, ABS, and the exotics, they have a link for samples, but there are no products listed in those.
Yeah. And I had, after the third time getting a hold of them, I finally did get the samples. The samples look nice. Kind of go through what we have here. Here we have ABS extra fill. Kind of curious as what the reason for extra fill is, but it's like a natural color.
Yeah, it's a white kind of ivory color.
It almost looks like glow filament.
Almost. It has a little bit of that little yellow sheen to it.
And these are all 1.75 millimeter samples. And they are samples. They're little hand coils that are zip tied together. I didn't expect more.
No, I didn't expect actual spools of this stuff. That's what we figured is they were probably just a hand coil.
And we have some PLA extra fill. We have this one I'm excited about because you generally don't see clear filament.
Right.
For additive manufacturing. You see them for the SLA printers. You don't see them for FDM printers.
Because they normally don't come out clear. They get a little bit of a milky...
The heat makes them a good opaque for sure. But this is a lot clearer than I've ever seen, because we have those other samples, the YS filaments.
Right.
They were clear and it came out opaque. Looked fine. If you have a filament sensor in your printer, it won't like it and it won't detect that it has filament.
Right.
So you either need to take and put mount a Sharpie in front of your extruder or in front of that sensor and have it mark the filament so it sees something, or you can bypass your filament sensors, just stick a piece of filament in there.
You can also put like a piece of masking tape or something.
Yeah, just so it sees something.
Right.
It doesn't actually like check for tolerances of the filament or anything like that. Is something there? Yes. Okay, print. Mm-hmm. Is something not there? Okay, please stop. And that's all it does. But this is, and you're going to hear rustling because I'm playing with bags, elastic extra fill. So this is a flexible filament. It has the characteristics of Ninja Flex's new ABS flexible filament, which I have a big sample of that. I haven't been able to try it yet. Now I can with the very modded Vinci, so I've been kind of excited to try that. And we also got their timber fills. I think it's all the colors they actually have.
There's 4 there.
Yeah, and they're actual true wood fill. They're not wood shade like the. No offense against YNS. I actually really like your guys' filament, but your wood fill is not actual wood fill. This is. You can definitely. It literally looks like wood pulp glued together.
Right.
It's pretty cool. The only other thing that I did come across this week that was cool, we talked about in the past that the kind of glue we use,
the Craft Bond glue,
the Craft Bond by Elmer. I found a can of sprayable Craft Bond glue. I haven't got a chance to try it because I haven't printed, but I hope to print some tonight to print some samples out, and we will find out if that stuff works.
Yeah.
I was concerned because it says it can be a permanent or temporary glue, and second guessed myself because I was like, oh crud, does the glue stick? Is that permanent also? And actually, I did a side-by-side comparison. The glue stick is actually meant to be permanent only. Mm-hmm. And of course it's soluble in alcohol, the isopropyl alcohol.
And water. It's also water soluble.
Oh, okay.
Because it's what I do with what I did do with my glass print bed is I just bring it to the sink, set in the sink, run some hot water on it, and just wipe it off.
Yeah. So, cool. I'm excited because now I don't have to steal my wife's expensive hairspray.
Yeah.
So hopefully that works out. If it does, we'll definitely report back, let you guys know. It'll definitely be easier if it does work out to just have to spray a couple sprays on the bed and it's not like it's a laborious task to take a glue stick and wherever you're going to print, but you can get a much more even coat with the spray. And a lot, you don't have to use near as much. I did notice.
I didn't normally use a whole lot of glue. It was, get everything ready, let it warm up, twist the bottom of the glue stick, and just kind of smear it on there.
Yeah, I caked mine on there.
Yeah,
I was always, and I still am. I'm very concerned about adhesion, first layer adhesion. So.
With the aluminum bed, I use blue tape now, and I get a couple of prints on blue tape.
Mm-hmm. And then it starts to tear.
It just kind of lifts off.
Yeah.
It doesn't tear.
The heating and cooling.
Yeah. It breaks down the
adhesive?
Yeah, the adhesive. Thank you.
The stuff that makes glue sticky?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it just breaks that down, and it won't stick to the bed.
But yeah, I think that wraps it up for printing this week for the two of us. And Joe did mention something about having not enough time. I don't know if it's a weird request to throw out there, but if anybody that's listening has some spare time and has a little bit of editing knowledge, we would be more than happy for you to intern for us and maybe edit the podcast. Unfortunately for Joe does all the editing. I don't.
Editing in total takes me about 6 hours.
Yeah.
And it's about, to really get it trimmed down to where it has a nice crisp sound, it takes me about an hour per 10 minutes. Of actual...
not us derping around, but actual talk.
Yeah, actual talk time. So a 40-minute podcast will take me 4 hours to do. Hour long takes me about 6 hours. I'm getting a little bit better with it. I know what things to look for. And I also have the ability to hear myself talk. And I know what words I want to reduce saying, how I want to phrase things a little bit. So
phrasing.
Yes. So
like printing his wife.
Yes, printing my wife. Those things I'm not going to totally get rid of. I mean, still have, slips, but I at least know where the things I want to work on.
Yeah, if anybody would be interested in that, and we would be greatly appreciative of that, and it'd be kind of a cool way to get involved, and
you'll get editing credits.
Oh, definitely
on the podcast
and on the site and everything.
Yep, that's just a request. I'll probably wind up putting an ad at the local college.
Yeah,
because there's people that is going to be going in for broadcasting, and they'll want a little bit of experience doing that, and we'll have experience with some of the audio editing tools, audio mixing tools, and who knows, maybe they will have suggestions to even help make what we do sound better.
Yeah, always open to suggestion.
Right.
In the news,
there was a couple of things that happened this week. The big thing was the 3D printer manufacturer Solid Doodle announced that they were shutting their doors. Solid Doodle is the Brooklyn-based 3D printer manufacturer known for its line of extremely consumer-friendly desktop 3D printers, which were priced as low as $599. They were founded in 2011 and quickly grew to a team of 70 employees working diligently to manufacture and ship over 10,000 units from its Brooklyn factory. In a somber letter addressed to the once thriving Solid Doodle 3D printer community, company founder and CEO Sam Cervantes announced that after nearly 5 years as one of the leading manufacturers of affordable yet high-quality consumer 3D printers, Solid Doodle was suspending its operations. The company stumbled on its launch of its fifth-generation product, the Solid Doodle Press, which fell short of their high standards for providing an outstanding consumer experience, and by the end of 2015, the company was out of cash, out of employees, and had suspended new orders.
This is hard to hear. The Da Vincis are actually modeled after the Solid Doodles. Mm-hmm. They're very similar. I wouldn't say a knockoff, but they're the same design.
Right.
Everything's the same about them, minus parts. Design-wise, they're the same. And it's hard to hear.
Unfortunately, at Solid Doodle, I think they tried growing just a little too fast because they outsourced a lot of their parts to China, mm-hmm. and then recently acquired a Chinese manufacturing company, figuring, hey, we're getting parts from there anyway, let's just do the manufacturing there and have those products shipped to the U.S. Mm-hmm. Well, when they did that and they were being shipped to the U.S., there was a dock worker strike on the West Coast, which held up orders, which they weren't able to get orders out in time for holidays, and it was just a whole downward spiral from that point on.
And I think, unfortunately, in this industry, companies are being forced to do that, forced to evolve way too rapidly.
It's a blooming industry, and it's one of those you have to go big to really stand out from the crowd, or you just get swallowed up by other companies.
Yeah, there's so many things happening. Actually, one bit of news, I don't know if you've seen this, but mm-hmm. the Olo?
Yes, I have. I put an article up for the Olo here last week on the blog.
That is freaking cool.
What it does is it takes your smartphone and turns it into like an SLA printer.
Yeah, and for $100.
We're talking smartphone. We're only talking very small build area, but it's $100 little SLA printer.
And actually, as soon as I found out about mm-hmm. it, I went onto their Kickstarter and I was going to throw down $100 and have one of these. Mm-hmm. They were sold out almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
The only Kickstarter bundle that they have available right now mm-hmm. is like $27,000. And it's geared towards schools. And it's not that they're trying to bend over a school or anything. They're definitely trying to get 3D printing in classrooms. Because if you really think about it, what high school kid anymore doesn't have a smartphone? Mm-hmm. And if you can just go, all right, let's put your phones to use, stop texting while I'm talking anyway, and let's print something. And
well, yeah, that also allows kids, like you're saying, put the phones down. Well, if their phone is occupied doing a print, they can't Facebook, they can't Twitter, they can't do a slew of other things, 9gag.
What does 9gag do?
I wouldn't know.
It's just a thing to waste time.
Literally, it is a black hole where you can start and go, wait, 5 hours just passed?
But I was just looking at cats.
And a whole bunch of other things. But yeah, I did see the Olo, and I was kind of intrigued by it, and it just happened to be one of those little items that missed the news. It was a Kickstarter thing, so a lot of the Kickstarter stuff I kind of glaze over because some of it doesn't
Some
deliver.
of them doesn't even come to fruition, and they fizzle. But this, I think, also speaks to the point of Solid Doodle stuff like this coming out for $100. How do you compete with that?
Yeah,
I mean, and not saying that the Solid Doodle or the Olo could beat a Solid Doodle, but as a parent, and I am one, and if my kid goes, I want this $500 thing, I'm going to go, well, you're 8.
yes.
$500 is really expensive, and if you want to try something out, let's get you into something small and try it out, like a micro or an Olo, something like that.
Right. And
then these guys, the bigger guys like the Solid Doodles, the Ultimakers, even the Da Vinci's at $500, aren't going to get that because unfortunately these kids are trying to get into it, and not every kid. I mean, I wasn't a privileged kid, and I know you weren't either.
Right.
I couldn't go to my mom and say, I want this $500 toy.
Oh yeah, there were times when I was growing up, I was in my teens, and the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, came out. And I was like, look, rather than the grandparents buy me a Christmas present, you buy me a Christmas present, and anybody in the family buys me a Christmas or birthday present, why don't you take that money and just buy me one thing?
Yeah.
One big thing. And unfortunately that never really worked, but it was an attempt, honest attempt.
You know what's funny? As a kid, I never understood that. Because I was that way too.
Right.
I'd rather have one big thing. And now as a parent, I see why. I see because my mom wanted me to have things.
Right.
Because we didn't have a lot growing up. And it's not like we were poor eating dirt or anything. We made do just fine. But you can buy one big thing and that thing could break and then you don't have a thing.
Right.
But you can buy them a few things and then they could play with those few things.
Yeah, I can see that.
I see the logic is all I'm trying to say.
Some people have game ADD. They have to have multiple games to keep their attention. It's just like a kid. You have to have multiple things to keep your attention.
It's very true.
So, speaking of Kickstarter things, there's a Frankfurt-based 3D company startup called DDD Material, or maybe it's 3D Material.
Oh, I see what you did there.
They have recently launched a Kickstarter campaign for a 3D printer nozzle made out of premium tungsten. With their new tungsten premium nozzle, they are hoping to introduce a more durable, robust, and affordable 3D printing nozzle onto the market. I have a tungsten wedding band.
Yeah.
The reason why I got the tungsten wedding band is because it won't scratch. And they generally won't break, and it is very resistant to heat. Tungsten, you can heat to 6,192 degrees Fahrenheit before it melts.
Yeah, it's solid stuff.
Which in Celsius, that's 3,422 degrees. So
for those of you keeping track of that.
The materials you're printing are going to get nowhere near its melting point. Their idea is to make their nozzle from tungsten, a hard, rare metal with an extremely high melting point, as we said. It has come from the material's existing use in the plastics industry for making extruder dies. The company explains on its Kickstarter page they essentially scaled down the tungsten extruder dies used in the plastics industry to the size of a standard 3D printer nozzle. Because of the material's strength and high melting point, the 3D printer nozzle offers several benefits over regular brass or steel nozzles, such as a higher efficiency for energy because of its thermal conductivity, more stable calibration even over the course of long prints, and no extreme tempering effects. Additionally, the tungsten nozzle has been designed with a flattened nozzle head to prevent scratching and breaking of glass print beds. The Kickstarter campaign for the 3D printer tungsten nozzle is running until April 14th, and the German 3D printing startup is hoping to achieve their goal of about $45,000 by then. With the money, the company is hoping to fund their necessary materials and production equipment to put their tungsten nozzle into market. I'm excited about that, actually.
Yeah, definitely. So the reason we need that high words just escapes me.
The hardness of it?
Yes.
Steel and brass compared to tungsten are softer metals, and the abrasive filaments will wear those down over time. They clog easily. You can print a lot more things. The current tungsten premium nozzle is an M6 thread. It is compatible with 1.75 millimeter filaments, And if their crowdfunding campaign is successful, the company is also hoping to introduce a nozzle for 3mm filaments, or 2.85 millimeters. The tungsten premium nozzle is ideal for materials that require high temperatures, such as PEEK nylon, ABS, and polycarbonate, and for abrasive materials such as wood, metal, stone, or carbon fiber filaments.
And that's awesome.
Yeah. I would prefer a tungsten filament over any other filament, just for daily use, even if I'm not printing woods or metals constantly.
Well, you don't have to worry about it wearing out.
Yeah, it's not going to wear out. It's long-lasting. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be a very expensive nozzle. Tungsten is not cheap to manufacture.
No, it's not. But, I mean, if you really think about it, you got 5 brass nozzles. You replace them over the course of a year, depending on how much you print. You could be up to 10 nozzles. You're going to probably pay for that over the life of your printer really fast.
Right, yeah. So that's something to look into.
For sure. I do know there was another company, Proto Pasta. They're known for making carbon fiber, a lot of exotic filled filaments. He was looking into making a ceramic lined nozzle for that reason, the wear resistance and for the high friction filaments. So
right.
It's neat to see. I mean, not taking away from Proto Pasta, the guy, I have never used his filaments. I need to order some samples from him. Both of us do, and to try it out. He was doing it out of necessity. A company is now going, this is a thing. We need to develop this and move this industry forward.
Yeah, I'm looking a little bit over their Kickstarter page right now.
What's it about?
Right now, they have a total of $16,532, and they're trying to get to $44,623 with 11 more days. They have 257 backers. A lot of their things are gone right now. They have an option right now. There's 61 backers. There is 139 left. If you pledge $29, you'll get one nozzle.
It's not bad.
Not bad for $29.
I would buy it just to see.
Oh yeah, I would like to be able to just throw a few bucks down and see what they got. I know that they've produced some of these. They have distributed to some manufacturers just for testing and feedback. So they do exist.
They're there.
They are a thing. I just don't know if they would work on my Prusa. I don't know what type of nozzles.
The M6 is fairly standard. I know my E3D is an M6, depending on their nozzle diameter, extrusion size.
It's 0.4 mil.
Oh, sweet. So, yeah, it would work. Work for the Da Vinci, I know.
Yeah. It's not too bad. One other thing that I saw in the news, which I showed you on Friday.
That thing's nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. And if you haven't seen this, you should, once a podcast is over, go to our website and...
No, do it right now. Pause the podcast.
No, it can wait. Trust me. But you'll be blown away. So, as we're aware, there's a trade-off of an affordable 3D printer that they're usually small and only can produce small objects. So making something big, you'll have to break it down in smaller parts first. Autodesk, however, they have come up with a better approach, a 3D printer with multiple heads that work together to create massive creations.
Now, we've seen something similar to this. Actually, the mostly printed CNC, a guy put multiple heads on it.
Right, but those print heads were all doing the same task.
Yeah, they didn't work in unison. They did the same task separately.
Right. They put like 4 print heads or 8 print heads on it, and they just rode on the same X and Y axis, and each one had its own independent Z, but they were all still printing. They could only print the same item.
Yeah.
Called Project Escher, the hardware is more like an assembly line of 3D printers in a single machine. Instead of passing an object from one print head to the next when the job is done, the print heads can intelligently work together to speed up the creation of a project, or each head can work on different areas so that larger prototypes can be produced in one run. In their video, the big item that they produced was a propeller blade.
Not like a propeller from a fan.
No,
this is a plane.
And it was like 4 foot long.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was cool.
The time lapse of it it only takes like 20, 30 seconds because it goes by really, really quickly. But you get to see this thing in action, and it's pretty cool.
It's harmonious. I mean, it's just neat to see.
Project Escher's print heads are modular as well. They can be swapped out for different purposes. So while the 4 of them are busy printing away, the 5th could be swapped for a milling head that removes support structure or other 3D printed components that are only necessary for the printing process. One of the print heads could even be swapped out for a robotic hand that repositions a part or automatically removes it from the machine once the printing process is completed. So printing along, you finish up, it grabs it, moves off the machine, and starts another one.
Talk about
automated printing, yes. 100% automated. You don't have to do anything. Your printer just does the thing.
Go do your thing.
So for now, the project appears to be an Autodesk research initiative more than anything, but it is a brilliant approach to 3D printing that takes advantage of the components in more affordable machines while overcoming the size limitations that often plague cheaper hardware.
Yeah, this is cool. This is a step that will, if this actually becomes anything in 3D printing, this is a step that will change 3D printing completely. It'll flip it on its ear.
Oh, definitely.
The fact that the really cool one was, I mean, the robot hand, and it can start printing a new piece, and that's cool. And then almost expected.
Right.
I mean, we saw the maker arm.
Right, which
you
does...
you could have 2 maker arms sitting there, and one could print, and the other one can grab the part and use it.
And they're also designed to work in tandem.
Yeah. The fact that you could put a milling head on this thing to where it'll remove its support material as it prints is just awesome.
Yeah. No more having to break off support material when it's done, having to worry about a limonene bath at the end of the printing process. This just mills it out, leaves you with a pile of junk, basically, that you can clean up.
So say you have a part that has threaded threads in it. And then you put it on to where it has a thread chaser, and it just automatically chases the threads down the line. It's just, to me, it's a step that's awesome. And granted, this is a brainchild at the moment. I believe they're working with MIT as well to make this happen. It's just cool, and it's one of those, because we can. Why not?
Yeah. Oh yes.
So yeah, that's a neat one.
The only other thing I have. This one here, this is a little close to home for me. I have a wife who has MS, who's not 3D printed.
Don't take my laughing as laughing at Joe because he has a wife that has MS.
That's not 3D printed.
She's not 3D printed was the laugh. Becky's an amazing person. I'm not laughing at that at all.
It's probably safe to say that the majority of us know someone, be it either a close relative, a distant friend, a popular celebrity, or a spouse that suffers from a neurodegenerative disorder. Those would be things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's disease, and MS, just to name a few. And they can come out of nowhere and disrupt a person's life forever. Thankfully, a tremendous amount of research is being done to understand and combat these diseases every day. A recent study published in the journal Biomaterials has introduced a 3D printing technique that promises to shed further light on what goes on in the human brain in hopes to further understand these neurodegenerative disorders more clearly. This particular research being done at the University of Wollongong in Australia and the University of Texas at Dallas is focusing on using 3D printing to paint a three-dimensional picture of the human brain using newly developed state-of-the-art bioprinting techniques. To do this, they have found a way to grow brain cells in 3D that in turn let scientists observe what happens in the brain while in a controlled laboratory setting, using gelin gum, a substance used as a gelling agent in microbiology labs, and bio-ink that combine with brain cells. The team was actually able to grow a functioning network of cells much like what you'd find in a real brain. We live in a 3D world. Having a 3D test environment is going to prove very useful for these guys. So adding the extra dimension to a system that has previously only existed in two-dimensional space does appear to be potentially groundbreaking when it comes to researching how living matter reacts in a laboratory setting. Throughout the years, 3D bioprinting is being developed in more and more research facilities around the world, and these days, tests to find the most appropriate 3D printable compounds are slowly making their way into real-world applications. An early example of this includes strong evidence that reconnection of nerves can be facilitated in 3D structures created using 3D printing process. While most of us can't pretend to even have a surface understanding of the process and research that are being developed in the study, we all can appreciate the knowledge, patience, and commitment they adhere to every day of their lives. It is incredible how often these things go unnoticed, or these people go unnoticed. When my wife was diagnosed with MS 7.5, 8 years ago, she had to do a complete about face. She spent most of her life working. That's all she did. She'd wake up, go to work hard, come home, and rinse, repeat. We'd go out and have fun and do things, but when she had her first episode and then wound up going into the doctor and getting diagnosed, it was a punch in the gut. You don't expect these things. You never plan for these things, and a lot of people don't understand that when they ask how my wife is doing, it's not like it changes. She has good days and she has bad days. Mm-hmm. It's never better. It's always there. And even the treatments for MS or these other diseases, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, they can be temporary or they can just not work for the person.
Yeah.
And my wife, unfortunately, a lot of the MS treatments don't work for her type of MS. Not everyone is the same. It's not like, poof, you have MS, here's a pill. There are many different types of MS. Mm-hmm. Some of the medicines are good for type A MS, whereas type B, C, or D MS, they don't work real well with. And a lot of, unfortunately, like the type that she has, there's not a lot of treatments available.
Yeah.
So we do what we can. I make sure she has a nice house. Unfortunately, heat is a big MS issue. Try and keep her cool, etc. But it's nice to see that they're able to, using this 3D printing process, this technique, to see how these cells react and really get an idea of what's going on in the brain. In addition to helping cure Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, hopefully they can find out what's going on with MS as well.
Yeah, it'd be neat.
She researches these things, and I'm surprised that I found this article and she didn't.
Yeah.
She spends a ton of time going over medical journals. She has a pretty decent understanding of some of this stuff just from sitting there reading article after article, following some of these doctors. She gets a hold of them, talks to them about what's going on, is just really actively trying to not only make her life better, but understand and possibly help make other lives better.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunately you see a lot of people with stuff like this, these life-altering events, mm-hmm. They just kind of lay down.
They do.
A lot of and I say that, and I don't want to sound cold. I don't want to sound any other way. If that happened to me, I can't say what I'd do. Mm-hmm. I'm in the situation. I don't know. I don't fault people for doing that, because right now, if that were to happen to me and my family, granted, there would be some way we make it work, but it would be detrimental. I don't want to sound sexist, but a lot of the times in a household, the man's the cornerstone, and their work and what they do around that, everything. Mm-hmm. And I know if I were to go down and wouldn't be able to work, that would be detrimental to my family and our well-being. And having all that happen and the stress that would come along with it, and just feeling, I've had points in my life where self-worth was very low, mm-hmm. and you just kind of want to just lay down and go, I don't want to play anymore.
Not to take away from that at all. I've talked about this in a past podcast. I fell from a ladder at work. I shattered my heel, and it drove me nuts not being able to work. Mm-hmm. I at least had an end to it. Whereas Becky, unfortunately, there are days where she just doesn't feel good at all, and it makes it hard for a lot of people to hold jobs.
Yeah, you can't just, most jobs, you call in once or twice and they go, yeah, this isn't working out. Unfortunately, I mean, playing the unfortunate devil's advocate on that side, you can understand why, because I've been in the position where I've been over people and things still have to get done, but being a compassionate human is, I could never, if anybody under me in an employment situation were to come down with that, and they were still saying, I still want to come to work, I would accommodate it. Mm-hmm. But what I was trying to get across is people like Becky, and there's a lot of people out there, but I know Becky and I interact with her a lot, and it's nice to see that people like her are very active in the community, trying to, not only just for her knowledge, what I know of her, I've known her just under a year now. I know she would help if she found out something.
Oh yeah.
So, and it's cool to see this, and something where Joe and I are, at this point, it'd be a roundabout a part of, because we're a part of 3D printing. One day, you never know. I mean,
yeah.
I would definitely, I remember I used to use, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but folding at home. You have your computer and it's, so to say, downtime when you're not gaming. It works on equations for MIT.
Oh, yeah. It's like SETI at home, or there's another one, the prime numbers one.
Yeah, very similar. The folding at home one I know is with MIT, and it deals directly with Alzheimer's. And it just literally, your computer just sits there and crunches numbers.
Yep.
And it reports back when it completes an equation, and then they send you a new one. It starts doing it again. It's
similar to what they do with Bitcoin farming.
Yeah, very, very similar, other than it's helping with Alzheimer's.
Right.
And exactly. I did it for quite a while. My old boss was heavily into it. He had someone close to him had a degenerative disease like was said. And so it really meant something to him. I had a great grandmother that had Alzheimer's. I didn't know a lot of her. She had a very aggressive form of it, and she went down very fast. And I was young, and you get that to where it's almost comical, because you could be having a conversation with her, and she knew who you were. She'd turn her head and look back at you and ask you who you were.
And yeah, it'd be basically just reset.
Yeah. The one thing I do remember, it was she was in a home. There was a man there, and he thought he was Harry S. Truman. It seems morbid to find humor in it, but it's like me. I always say, if I didn't find a way to laugh at myself, I'd be dead a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
It's very serious, and I don't want anybody to think that I think any of it's humorous at all.
I want to change gears a little bit here. Let's have you like Bruce Campbell, Army of Darkness, Briscoe County Jr. He was in the Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. He was a ring announcer during the wrestling match.
It's a little too obscure.
Anyway,
continue on. Just don't ask me who he is and if I like him.
I should let you. Well, you don't have a DVD player, but if you get a moment, you should locate a copy of Bubba Hotep.
I've heard of that.
It is an obscure movie. It has Bruce Campbell and Ozzie Davis, and it takes place in a nursing home. Ozzie Davis thinks he's JFK. Ozzie Davis is a black actor, for those people who don't know it. So he thinks he's JFK, and Bruce Campbell's character thinks he's Elvis.
Nice.
And they are fighting this ancient Egyptian mummy. It is a very, very... it is a dark comedy.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, talking about the old guy thinking he's Harry S. Truman.
Yeah.
This is up there.
Yeah, and you could... I've always found it really easy to talk to older gentlemen. I love hearing their stories.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah, my grandmother, when I was a kid, she worked at a nursing home, so I've spent quite a bit of time around older people.
Yeah, and you could sit down with him, and the best part of it is he believed it so well. I mean, he told stories. You could go Wikipedia Harry S. Truman and find facts of his early life and stuff, and he would say it as if he lived it. It was cool. I'm a big history guy. I love history, and so of course the first time I met him, I was granted I was very young. I heard of Harry S. Truman. I knew who he was in history.
Right.
Didn't know anything about him. So of course I went and looked it up and got more information about it. And yeah, he was spot on. It was neat. It was neat. I don't know if he was just a history guy himself, and in his previous state of mind knew that much about him.
Right.
And it just melded into this is who I am now.
It's interesting what sticks and what doesn't.
Yeah. So on a little bit of a lighter note, gaming.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do a lot of it.
No, me either.
I've checked a few things out. I don't have any information sitting in front of me. I do know Bethesda they've got a couple of projects going on. Obviously, they've got Fallout 4. They've got the DLC working on that. They just released, I think it's called Big Harbor or something like that, for Fallout 4, part of their DLC. And they say it's one of the largest maps that they have done for DLC, or is
really?
the largest map, until they release the Road to Nowhere, or no, Lonely Road, or something like that.
Okay.
I wish I still had my information from me, but they are doing a full recreation of the state of Rhode Island.
Wow. As in a nuclear fallout.
Yeah, it's Fallout 4, but it is the state of Rhode Island. It is that big. And then they're doing a recreation of, because people have been wanting to drive cars in Fallout for a long time, they're doing, I can't remember what this one's called, but it's a recreation of Highway 95.
Oh, really?
Yep. So it goes through Delaware and I think down in through Virginia, and it's evidently supposed to be like 1,000 miles worth of road.
Yeah, that hits home for us because Highway 95 runs...
Wrong Highway 95.
Oh, US 95 then.
Yes.
Okay.
This is East Coast through DC.
Okay.
Through the Commonwealth over there. Not US 95 or Highway 95, that runs north-south from the 95. Canadian border through Idaho. This is East Coast.
And they did one robot one, Automatron.
Yep, the Automatron, that is out now.
Yeah.
I think even the Big Harbor one's released now.
Yeah, I know one of the guys I follow on YouTube, Generic B, he's heavily into Fallout 4.
I would like to be. I just haven't had time. I'm into the game, but it's right now. Shit, I don't even remember where I am. But unfortunately, they increased with them announcing they're doing bigger maps and things like that. They also increased the price tag of the DLC. DLC is now $50.
Ouch. That's like a Call of Duty DLC.
That kind of doesn't sit real pretty with me, because at that point, why don't you just put out an expansion?
Yeah.
Make it either a standalone expansion, or like with Reaper of Souls for Diablo 3, make it just an add-on. You go buy that, and there you go.
Mm-hmm. I know I'm looking forward to, I've been kind of following No Man's Sky.
Yep.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, it's a game where no one will ever explore everything.
Yeah, it's an open world, continuously generating MMO.
Yeah.
And that looks really fun.
It's kind of cool because when you go out and explore things, if you find something first, it'll label that item as you found it first, and it'll forever have your name associated with it.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. It's kind of like being on the front page of the leaderboards on Diablo. It's something I'll never probably achieve, but it'll still be fun to play.
Well, it's like we played augmented reality game Ingress for a while. I don't know if you still play. I've given up on the game. The community, unfortunately, has taken a turn for the worst, and I don't think the developers are really paying much attention to that. I think they're more interested in just their little weird story that they're telling, and not really concerned what the community is doing. Yeah.
Well, they're also working on Pokemon Go.
Right.
And then they introduced the microtransactions, and
that's when they introduced microtransactions, that day I uninstalled the game from my phone.
Yeah.
But there's that game you go out and you discover points of interest, you submit them as portals for this game that people can capture and link, make fields off of. And I actually have a few that I have successfully submitted, and they're mine. I am immortalized in that game in some way.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's cool when you can actually be
that's mine.
Not just part of the game, but
a part of the game.
Part of that game, yeah.
Yeah. I burnt myself out. I hit 8 on the green side. Mm-hmm. I had a very, very heavy, we'll call it a disagreement with a green player, local guy. And I took it upon myself to turn blue and turned 8 in a month.
Yeah.
And if nobody's ever played Ingress, that's an undertaking. Previously to turn 8.
It's a grind.
When I was green, I think it took me just under a year of passively playing. When I was driving somewhere, I'd open up, it's called a scanner. I would capture if I saw something neat or playing with it.
You grab a portal here or there.
But yeah, I burned myself out really fast on that game.
For me, it wasn't necessarily the game, though there were some issues with the game. It was more the people within the game.
Yeah, people were very, very possessive at points.
They're possessive. They're, this is the etiquette. You have to follow these rules. No, it's actually it's a game. This is your house rules for this game. There's nothing that says I can't do that.
Yeah, we both know this. It's actually the same guy that made me flip factions. Literally said that this is a way of life. This is not a game. And it's like, you need to find better sources for living.
Well, when I first started playing with a coworker at work that we both know, we're going to go to downtown Coeur d'Alene. Mm-hmm. And because was a lot of art sculptures and stuff along the roads that were linked up as portals at that time. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I were going to meet this friend from work. And when we got down there, this same person that you're talking about was with him, and wasn't really a, hey, how's it going? Kind of get to know each other. This guy came out of the gates, and his intensity lever was slammed all the way in go position, and the handle was broken off, and proceeded to lecture us on that exact same thing. This is a way of life. These are the rules you have to follow. And we're like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to play this that much. Yeah. And I could have really gotten into this game, but that made me kind of put on the brakes a little bit and go, I don't need this type of drama, especially if drama is right there.
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like. After that, we went and did an event over at Gonzaga, and it was pretty much the same way. I met a bunch of other
agents
is what they call them. There's greens and blues, or Smurfs and frogs, and I was part of the frogs, which that's not really the name of them. It's Enlightened and Resistance, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah. We're going around and we're meet and greet. We're going around capturing portals and talking about things. And in the middle of us doing this, a bunch of blue players came up and just started going, doing their rounds and really tried making a scene. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much the last time I went out. Yeah. I would
don't need this.
Ride passenger, be support if somebody needed a little extra hand capturing a portal, but I just kind of gave up on it. Too much drama. I'm not a big drama person. That's why I don't deal with Facebook. I try and keep my life very drama free. Mm-hmm. I've got enough of it.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard to even,
I mentioned a couple of projects from Bethesda. Their other project, which is coming out in May, I think 16th, is a new Doom game.
Ooh, that
Doom is the game that got me into computer gaming. Mm-hmm. I went to a D&D fantasy convention in Missoula called MISCON. It was in 1994.
That's where you met the Wizards of the Coast guys, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, they were handing out betas of Magic. Mm-hmm. It was just little paper bags. I didn't really pay much attention to it. Hey, thanks. I met them. I actually got their business card the following year in 95, which is sitting in that box right over there, actually. That year, they had a little, a company was there, and they had the Nintendo, or not the Nintendo, the Atari Jaguar, mm-hmm. the 64-bit, first 64-bit console. It was okay, but they had a couple of booths with computers set up in them. You'd basically just sit in the booth, And it's like a photo booth or like your little driving sim games. It was a box. You went inside and had a curtain. It's all blacked out, and you had a keyboard and I think it was just a keyboard at that time. And you gotta pay them a few bucks, and you gotta go in and play this game. So I went in, I played, and I got a little how-to, and I immediately fell in love with the game. I had never seen a first-person shooter. This was my first experience with a first-person shooter. Wolfenstein completely missed me.
Really?
And I went back home. When I was done, I bought an IBM computer. I called IBM, said, send me a machine, and installed Doom, and that was my real big thing that I would play. And I played Doom and Doom 2, oh God, forever. And I followed up with Quake, and it just kept going on and on and on. Got into modding Quake. The original Team Fortress, when it came out, was actually a Quake mod. And didn't really get much into Team Fortress, but I played Team Deathmatch, Capture the Flag through MPlayer, your hosted servers. So you go to MPlayer, it was a lobby, you would connect with other guys, you would agree to join a game, and then it would do all the little fancy technical stuff to get computer A and computer B talking, and then you could play online with other people. It was fun. That got me into Diablo and all kinds of other games, and I've been a pretty solid gamer since.
Yeah.
Prior to the Doom, it was King's Quest, Wasteland, role-playing games. And first-person shooters really, really captured me.
Oh, yeah. I've been a COD player since... Well, COD was my come-down from WoW game, and I've played every one since. But yeah, the funny, I did read a little news clip about it. It had the trailer for Doom, and it said this trailer was better than the whole movie with The Rock. That made me lol a little bit.
And it really, I haven't seen the Doom movie.
It's not worth it.
No, I saw the reviews, and I couldn't bear to see that game. I can't say ruined, because they're not going to ruin the game.
No.
They're not going to destroy my childhood. It's someone's vision of how that world would be, or how that thing would be, and I don't think that would be ID or id's real take on that setting.
Funny enough, what really got me into gaming? Duke Nukem.
Oh yeah, I played lots of Duke Nukem. I didn't play the newest one. I kind of wanted to just to pick it up, but I opted not to. I heard it wasn't all that great. And
did you get the new Wolfenstein?
No, actually, I played the one prior to that. That's 5 years old or something like that.
Well, in the Duke Nukem, it was like 13 years in the making that they were going to release it.
Duke Nukem Forever, and it took them forever to release it.
Yeah, I didn't play it either. I just remember playing Duke Nukem, and that was fun. My uncle Conrad got me into it. And,
awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. And that and Tekken on the original PlayStation.
Yeah, Tekken was a fun one. I like the fighting games. My friend Gary and we would have little tournaments. He had a Super Nintendo at his place. So the Street Fighter games, we would go down and we would play Street Fighter, and it was me, Mike Estes, Gary, Garin, Chris Nelson, a bunch of guys you don't know.
Yeah.
A bunch of my childhood friends. We would go down and hang out, and it was winner stays seated, so loser cycles out.
Yep.
And we'd queue up, and oh man, we had a blast. We could go through an entire weekend playing this.
Oh man, yeah, I remember. What was that? Crash Bandicoot.
Oh yeah.
That was another one I could play forever. Previous to that, it was I was always stuck on Duck Hunt and Zelda, the original Zeldas
with a gold cartridge. Yep. I have a copy of that, probably in the box next to where that Wizards of the Coast business card is.
Yeah, and I think I've told it on the podcast, the story of my grandpa playing Zelda. Okay, so my grandpa had an original NES.
Right.
And he loved Zelda. He would play the heck out of that game.
Okay.
And I was young. I was 5-6 years old.
Right.
And he was playing, he had 33 hearts.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he had went to do something, and I was being a kid derping around and And he came back and sat down to play, and I was sitting up by the console, and I went, and I hit the reset button. He never touched Zelda again.
Yeah, I take it he didn't save?
No. It was an NES. You couldn't.
Oh, yeah, you could. The Zelda cartridge actually has a little button battery, but that battery could die.
Yeah.
And then your saved games weren't saved anymore. That's the issue with the cartridge I have, is the battery is dead. So if you play it, there's no saving.
I found on eBay, there's kits now to do a replacement of that battery.
Oh, yeah, it's just a simple replacement.
That was a funny... I don't remember it, but my mom would say I would sit there and I would watch him play Zelda for hours. And that was the last time... Actually, no, it wasn't. He bought an N64, and he bought the Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
Actually, funny enough, I have it. I can't find the Ocarina of Time. I have Donkey Kong 64 with it. Mm-hmm. And it was actually the Donkey Kong version of the N64, so it's the clear green.
Okay.
So yeah, I have an original N64 still. I hate those controllers. That was one controller
I've got an N64 upstairs, actually.
Yeah, it's in your computer room.
Yep, next to my R2D2 360.
Yeah. I have never been able to... I never liked that style of controller, but he did end up buying an N64 when they came out, because the new Zelda came out. Mm-hmm. And he played it a little bit, and that was neat to see.
But just didn't get into it quite as much as he
did. I unfortunately killed it for him.
Oh.
And I don't even remember doing it, and this has been a story that has haunted me, and my family members love to bring it up, because funny enough, when I had an Xbox One, the Destiny beta came out. And I was super excited about it, because Bungie developed it. I played Halo 1. I skipped school so many times with my best friend in high school, and we would just sit and play Halo.
Right.
And so it was like, oh man, Bungie made another game, because they dropped Halo. Halo 1, I think they did Halo 2, they had part in it?
They did, I think, up until Reach. But 343 Industries came in, and they acquired that IP.
There was a definite difference in the gameplay, and I loved Halo 1, loved Halo 2, because the whole, holy cow, I can hold two weapons at the same time and shoot them? That was a whole new thing.
Oh, yeah.
But I was so excited about Destiny, and I was playing the beta, and I remember I was doing this one mission in the beta, and I was having a hard time doing it, and I finally did it. Mm-hmm. Getting back to a save point, and my daughter walks up and blink, turns off my Xbox One.
Pokes that little white light, and off it goes.
She did it 3 times before I went, screw it, I'm done, I'm not playing. And I didn't play the beta anymore.
So, another guy that we know, a friend, Travis, when the GameCube came out, he was a roommate of mine at that point in time. And he stayed up late one night and was playing the new Star Wars game that came out. I think it was like Rogue Squadron or something. And he played all day, all night, finally went to bed, go to sleep. And he rented the GameCube from Hastings.
Oh.
So when you rent them, they don't come with memory cards or anything like that. So he goes upstairs. He's upstairs with where his computer is and his bed is. So he goes to sleep. Alarm clock goes off in the morning. Reaches over, turns the alarm clock off. The alarm clock still going off. He looks over. He just shut the GameCube off.
Oh no!
He was near the end of the game, and he's just like, "Oh, kill me." So yeah, there's been a few of those I've heard of.
I still remember when the GameCube came out, and the little disc, and everybody's like, oh, whoa, what is this? It's like a whole new world. Yeah, and then you finally figured out what that little second indent in your CD tray of your computer was really for.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's for reading those discs. 9 Inch Nails Broken, the original, or there were some releases that actually had, it's got 6 tracks, and then there's 2 hidden tracks on the actual disc that are at position 98 and 99, track 98 and 99. Some of those only had just the one disc with the 99 tracks on them. Other ones you could find had a disc in there that has 1 through 6 and a little mini disc that had the 2 extra tracks on it.
Oh, really?
I managed to get one of the ones that have the actual 2 extra tracks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's in a box someplace also.
Or everything's in boxes.
Yeah, I've digitized everything.
Yeah.
So I have a box of CDs that legally I am obligated to keep if the man shows up and says, "Did you pay for these?" "Yes, here are the originals."
Here's the box. Go through it.
So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the new Doom game.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Have to give it
I watched the trailer this morning, and the trailer was pretty awesome.
Love it. I never did watch it, but yeah, looks fun. Sounds fun. I've read about it.
On Grim Dawn News, I think we have a third player, quite possibly.
Who?
Becky. She wants to play it.
Oh, nice.
It's downloaded. It's installed. We did that last night, Thursday night. Get her involved. I let her watch some cutscenes and watch some gameplay, and talked her through some of it. One thing with the MS is it kind of messes with her
motor skills.
No, ability to really grasp some things. So she has to sometimes be explained how to do something 2 or 3 times for her to be able to do it on her own. Mm-hmm. And it's not that she's unintelligent. She's wicked smart.
Yeah, she is.
There are just some things that it's kind of hard for her to grasp, especially maps in games. Like, we could be in Stranglethorn Vale killing panthers, and I would have to lead her to town because she just gets confused on where she's at, and I have to say, it's over there. Lead her over there. It wasn't a big deal because we're always running around together, so by the time her inventory was full, my inventory is full, and we back to town. Just let her watch videos, get familiar with it. This is what this does. This is your skill trees. So I don't know what she's going to be. It was funny when she was going. She goes, "Okay, well, get me set up so I can start playing, choose a character class, and get that set." I'm like, it's not the way it works.
Yeah, you start just...
You say male or female and give yourself a name. And when you hit level 1, then you can choose. And she's like, "Oh, yeah."
Cool.
So, yeah, it'll be fun to get on, especially with 3 people now.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
If you need to go back through and redo your guy, I'll probably just go back through and
that'd be cool to start
get mine set. So
start all from fresh.
Plus, it gives her time to go through and follow the quests. And I have been reading the quests myself, and it's supposed to have a pretty good story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never been big on storyline.
Yeah.
Action. This is, again, where WoW broke me. Mm-hmm. I really paid attention to storyline in WoW. Because I found it very interesting.
Blizzard they've taken a lot of time to really develop the lore within their games.
And then they broke it.
They, even with the original Diablo, StarCraft, any of the expansions, they have a excellent team of writers and developers to come up with this stuff. I feel that I should at least pay attention. That way I know that people were paid a lot of money to do this. So...
Well, and then there's also an understanding that you'll grasp, this is why.
Right.
Not mindlessly go kill monsters.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to go out here, kill these things, I'm going to go back. Unfortunately, I started doing that in WoW, especially when they came out with the quest mods. Basically, you get the quest and it shows you where to go.
Yeah.
Before that happened, you had to read the quest.
And pay attention. And
then go take care of it. When they started to come up with the pointers that just on your minimap that says it's that direction.
Kill these things, this many of them.
It made it a lot easier, but I also played other role-playing games. I briefly played EverQuest. And in EverQuest, to get your quests, you actually had to talk to the NPCs. Not just, walk up and click on them. You actually had to use your keyboard to ask them questions.
Yeah. And
you had to use the right keywords for them to respond with quest information. And then at that point you'd have underlined text that you could click on to accept the quest. It was a lot more involved.
Yeah.
And that was one place where that kind of lost me.
Well, yeah, that's so intensive. I mean,
yeah, it's cool. It's a little more role-playing than game.
Yeah.
When WoW came out, it was a nice balance because I could just go to a person, click on them, and have a dialogue with them, and they would give me a thing that says, "Here's the quest," and I could say, "Cool, thank you," and I could go turn the quest in. It also, especially in EverQuest, you didn't know who were or who weren't quest givers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was no little exclamation mark above their heads.
Look at me.
You were just like,
You?
If you didn't have the patience or didn't have somebody else who had played that game who could show you around and really help you out with where to go, what quests to get, I could see where the game you'd probably want to take and just throw it out a window. WoW definitely changed role-playing games. I think it was a little for the better.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also a little for the worse because some developers, some companies kind of took the WoW idea and dumbed it down a little bit farther. I think WoW nowadays, as where it was when it first came out, they've kind of really turned the knob down as far as like the intelligence needed to play the game.
Yeah, and unfortunately they had to.
They're trying to appeal to a bigger market, and even though technically it's not supposed to be geared towards kids, it's geared towards kids.
Oh, yeah. And when I say WoW broke me as a gamer, no, it just changed the way I game. Definitely. I am almost weary of MMORPGs now.
I've tried playing quite a few of them. I've still got Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, so do I.
It seems like every time I play Guild Wars 2, I have to relearn everything because some
changed
event
it.
has happened and, oh, well, this has been destroyed or this has changed, or it's like Lion's Arch or Lion's Gate or whatever the heck it is. Lionsgate's a film company. Lion's Arch, I think, is the name of the town. But it got destroyed, and I was stationed there, or that's where I was at when I logged out the last time. I log in, and I'm like, okay, so this is completely different. So now I have to figure out where all the vendors are again.
And I think that's a big one for me, is I remember how much time I put into WoW and learning everything about WoW and being good at WoW, saying WoW a lot. And now I know what it takes to be a competitive MMORPG player, and I just don't have the time, and I don't have the want.
I don't mind being a casual gamer, especially in an MMO, but the realm that I chose was a PvP realm. And unless you're competitive,
you're gonna die.
You were going to get eaten. I don't think that I realized when I started playing, I like the idea of PvP. Because it gives you that paranoia factor. But I didn't realize what kind of assholes are really out there.
Oh, gosh.
It wasn't necessarily one reason why I left my PvP server for a while. There was, as I said earlier, I try and keep my life as drama-free as possible. Me, our mutual friend from work, and another friend of mine, we decided to start a guild.
Never make a guild.
That right there is jumping in and becoming engineer of the drama train. You were on the tracks, heading on the drama train to Drama Town, and your first stop is at Drama 30, where you're going to pick up all the drama. It is.
I hated running a guild.
I had fun when it was just a few people. I met some very nice folks.
Oh, yeah.
Met a gentleman by the name of Shane. He's actually was a friend of a coworker that we had, Chris. Nice guy. Was one of the first guys to hit level 60 on the server. That's because all he did was play WoW. He was a disabled gentleman, and that was his thing. But the drama came from people that I knew or indirectly knew.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so did such and such. I'm just like, dude.
Get over it.
Well,
You're an adult.
Go talk to him. I shouldn't have to...
I don't want to mediate your fights.
Right. I shouldn't have to be your moderator. I shouldn't have to be the referee in this. You know? Oh my God, he looted an item that you wanted. Okay?
Did you roll?
Guess what? There's more items in the game. Yeah. And this is not even hitting level 60. This is not even near end game stuff. No raids, no nothing else. This is like level
Questing.
30s, 40s. I'm just like, if I have to deal with this now, I'm running around 1,000 Needles, okay? I don't need this headache.
Not even there anymore.
No, 1,000 Needles is flooded. And that was one thing is Becky and I here, I guess a year ago, I contacted Blizzard and said, what was just released?
Missed the Pandaria.
Yep. And I said, hey, give me free time. I actually called him on the phone and said, my wife and I, we played at launch. They looked at my account. Yep. Give me some free time. I want to see what this new stuff is like. And they said, okay, we're activating your guys' accounts. Go have fun. And we played for a week. We made fat pandas, and we got to run around and got to see what the world was like post-cataclysm. And we were like, yep, it's still here.
Yeah, it's still the same.
And we took off. We played the panda quests, and we had a little bit of fun, but it wasn't enough to really keep our interests.
No. Screw WoW.
Yeah, other than WoW,
only if WoW's okay. Only if Blizzard wants to pay us money to talk about it.
Yeah.
Then we love WoW. Yay, WoW! No, we're not that kind of people.
No, I'm not. No. Unfortunately, I'm not the type of person to really censor what I have to say.
Yeah,
even if somebody's paying me, I will give you the honest, my honest opinions. Besides that, other games?
Not for me. Like I said, I've been watching, kind of paying attention to No Man's Sky. I did try Ark again.
Mm-hmm.
I still really want to try out the Survival of the Fittest.
Right.
I still will. The Culling, I watched some play of that.
What's that?
So the Culling is like a Hunger Games kind of thing.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like Survival of the Fittest. Just it's not Ark. It's in a different format.
Yeah. No dinosaurs. But yeah, it looks kind of fun. I doubt I'll pick it up. It looks very alpha or very buggy. I hate that games are now doing the whole pre-release thing.
Yeah,
Ark is still pre-release.
The early access.
Ark is still early access.
It's released on Steam.
Yeah, but it's still early access. It's still not a full released game.
Really?
Yeah. And the Ark devs are doing an amazing job. They're constantly they just got another update. I think yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
3 new dinos. There's woolly rhinos now, which look kind of cool. I want a rhino. I want a rhino. But it's like, okay, well, when are you guys just gonna really just buck up and here's the game? I mean, I understand they're testing, and a lot of people are helping them out and saying there's a bug, and they're fixing them.
Now, with it still being in early access, this makes a whole lot more sense. I saw where they maybe have the developers may have to pull that game.
Yes,
and that's because of some non-compete issues between the actual head of Ark and his previous company.
Yeah.
So,
which is unfortunate, something like that, because a lot of people are having fun with it. One guy I follow very closely on YouTube, Slipgator. If you've never heard of him, he's really good, very, very G-rated. I let my kids watch him and never have a worry. Very good YouTuber, very good entertainer. He's very, very animated.
This is a guy we're watching
when we were doing the Da Vinci.
The Da Vinci.
A very funny guy. He does a lot of Ark stuff, and it's going to kill it for him.
Yeah.
If that happens, and it's unfortunate to see. I understand the reason and the need, but on the other hand, I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You're killing what you created because you're pissed off at each other.
I can understand where they're coming from, though. If he created this on company time that he was paid for from another place,
that's a no-no.
Then, yeah. It's like me sitting at work editing the podcast. I don't do that. I'm doing the podcast on my own time. I'm doing work things on work time. I don't get paid from work to do the podcast. I don't get paid by the podcast to do work things. They're two completely separate things done in two completely separate buildings on two completely different periods of time.
Yeah. And also being the almost victim of a non-comp fight between two companies, it was like, come on, guys. You realize what you're doing to someone right here?
Oh, yeah.
You're fighting because I almost want to say e-peen, but it has nothing to do with the internet. You're fighting because your pride was hurt, but this is my family's well-being that you're dealing with. And it turns out the non-comp had no weight, and I'm happily working somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think that does it for this week of the podcast.
Yeah, if you don't have anything else to add.
I don't. 3 months.
It is 3 months. This is our 12th episode, which means we started this 3 months ago.
Holy cow.
A full quarter of the year.
Yeah, we're still doing it.
Yep.
Why? We don't know. No, we do.
We know exactly why.
Because we love it. It's fun.
All right.
But
that does it.
That does it for me. I'm Andrew.
I'm Joe. And remember, if you can imagine it, you can print it.